So today in this video we will learn about inverse trigonometry, the very important concept. But before moving on to the actual topic, there are a couple of things which we have to revise. So what are those things? First thing that we have to revise is relations. What are relations? So what are relations? Relation is always a subset of A cross B. What is this A cross B now? It was the Cartesian product. When A and B were two non-empty sets, then A cross B was defined as AB, where A belongs to A and B belongs to B. That was the Cartesian product. If I give you an example, it is if it is 1, 2 and B is 3, 4, then A cross B was 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3 and 2, 4. So that was my Cartesian product A cross B. So any subset of this Cartesian product, you know subsets 1, 2, 3, 4 elements are there. So 2 to the power 4, it means total 16 subsets are there. All those subsets are what the relation of, what are those subsets? Relation. Relation is always subset of A cross B. Now what are functions? Functions are special type of relations. In what sense it is? They are special. All elements of first sets are related. All elements are uniquely related. When we say uniquely related, in this sense they are very special. So uniquely related. What does it mean uniquely related? It means if I have these two sets, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the elements are uniquely related. If I observe the first set, all the elements are related. 4 is related to 2 and 5 is related to 1. Similarly, if I see over here, suppose this is here. So if I say this is related, then this is not a function because this element is not related. Similarly, if I have, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if I relate this particular thing to this and it is like this, then again this is a function because all the elements are related. 4 is related to 2 as well as to 3, so both the elements are unique, so we say it is uniquely related. Suppose we have this thing like this, then we say it is not a function because 4 and 5 both have same preimage as 1. So many can go to 1 but 1 cannot go to many. So this was our function. All the elements are uniquely related. So over here this is my function. So all the elements are uniquely related. Then we have a couple of terms. Why we are doing? Because this is a particular base for studying inverse trigonometry. So then we have pre-images. So what are those pre-images? Pre-images means if I take this particular example, then elements 1 and 2 of the first set, the related element of the first sets are known as pre-images. They are elements. If I talk in terms of elements, then what are images? The related elements of second set. So it is 4 and 5, they are images. So pre-images, the related element of first set, images, this is for first set, and images, the related elements of second set. From this comes the term domain. Domain is the set of pre-images. So set of pre-images becomes my domain. What is codomain? It is my whole set B. Whole set B. What is range? The set of images. Set of images becomes my range. Clear? So when we have a function fx, any function, let's say x square plus 1, we say x is domain, y is codomain when we write it equal to y, and fx is my range. So x is the probable value which a function can take, fx is the exact answer, and y is the probable answer. So this is probable answer, this is the value, and this is the exact answer. Right? So then further what we have? So these are the things which we need for this particular function. Now next we have function 1, 1 and onto function. So when do we say a function is 1, 1? If I have a function, let's say like this, when each and every element is going to a particular image. When each pre-image has one image, then we say it is a 1-1 function. For one question, one output, we have one input, one output, one question, one answer. So when one is related to one element related to one element, then we say it is 1-1 function. The other is this, when many are related to one. So this is not 1-1. When more than one are related to one particular thing, then this is not 1-1. This we say is many one. These 1-1 and many one, they are divided, categorized based on set 1. First set, if I see only the first set, on the basis of the arrangement of the elements of first set, if I arrange elements, I categorize them as 1-1 and many one. Then if I categorize my elements based on the second set, then we say it is, if range, what we observe over here, if I see this particular thing over here, my codomain was 3, 4, 5 and range was 4, 5. So range is always subset of codomain. Range is always less than or equal to codomain. If range becomes equal to codomain, then we say my function becomes onto. In that case, the function becomes onto. Right? So it is 1-1 when one element is related to one. It is onto when range becomes equal to codomain. In this particular example, if I see what is my range, range is 4, 5, 6, and what is my codomain? Codomain is 4, 5, 6. So what do I observe? Range is equal to codomain, hence my function becomes onto. This function is 1-1 as well as onto. So what we have learned from this particular thing, that 1-1 and onto function together, they are known as bijective functions. So this is bijective function. What is bijective? 1-1 and onto together becomes bijective. 1-1 alone is known as injective function. Onto alone is known as surjective function. Together they are known as bijective function. Right? Next, why we are doing this bijective function? Reason being, a function is invertible only when it is bijective. So we can say a function is invertible only when it is bijective. When it is bijective. So we have to learn two things. Function is invertible when it is bijective, means 1-1 and onto. So now next we'll proceed to seeing that how trigonometric functions are invertible. Let's see if the function is not 1-1. Let's see if it is many one. Will it be invertible? So this is many one function. Now if I invert it, it will be 4, 5 and this will be 1, 2, 3 over here. 4 is going to this and this. So is it a function? No, 1 and 2 both have same pre-image, hence it is not a function. So that is why 1-1 criteria is very important. Now, if it is not onto, it means this is 1-1 but it is not onto. Then again if I invert it up, will it be a function? No. So that is why onto condition is also important. And 1-1 onto together is also very important, because over here you observe it is many one and onto, still it is not invertible. Again it is 1-1 but not onto, hence it is not invertible. So that is why, what is very very important condition for invertible, that the function should be 1-1 and onto. Because if it is 1-1 and onto, let's say like this, then even if I invert it up, I write this here, it will still be a function, right? Start from trigonometric function. So I have sin x over here. I have written all the angles with sin x, the values of angles which we know. So if we know x is 0, sin 0 is 0. If x is 30 degree, we know it is half. It is 1 by root 2. It is root 3 by 2. It is 1. Then what about 120? 120 again becomes root 3 by 2, because 120 will be 180 minus 60. Second quadrant sign is positive. Similarly, 135 will become 1 by root 3. 150 will become 1 by 2. And 180 will become 0. So now if I observe this particular function from 0 to pi, what do I observe? Is it 1-1? No, you are right, because the values are repeating, so it means it is many one. So if it is many one, how come it is invertible? Because we have to study inverse trigonometry. So this will happen with all the trigonometric functions, because we know in two quadrants the trigonometric function are positive, in other two quadrants the trigonometric functions are negative. So it means they will be repeating the values. So what solution do we have so that we can have them invertible? So we have to make them 1 1 and we have to make them on 2. So what we do is we restrict their domain. So restricting the domain means I'll just take only those values where it is giving me answer as 1 1. So I will take only this value. Since sine minus theta is minus theta, so we will be taking the negative values of sine as well. So what do we take? We take sine from minus 90 to plus 90, so that we cover all the values from minus 1 to 1. The same applies to the other trigonometric functions as well. So this is known as what? Restricting the domain. Restricting the domain of trigonometric functions so as to make them invertible, because a function is invertible only when it is 1 1 and on 2, right? So now what we do is, what we will do, what we have done so far is this particular restriction. There are many intervals where this particular function can be 1 1 and on 2, but this is the closest and the first branch nearest to 0, so we say this is principal branch. So principal branch where we start from 0 or near to 90 or 180. So the starting point, the main point, we say they are the principal branch, and the value over here will be known as the principal value. Similarly, what we have done, we have restricted all these things for, like for sine, it is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 domain. Similarly, for cos and for other things, we have restricted. I'll tell you all those things, but before going on to this, now what we have understood, that we have to restrict the domain of all trigonometric functions, firstly. Why? Because then only they will be invertible. Now next what we have to do is understand what is inverse. Now what is inverse? What does it mean? Inverse means to do exactly opposite of what we were doing before. Suppose I know what was sine doing. Sine was giving value to angle. Just see here, I had an angle, I used to put it in place of x and then I used to get a value. So what was sine doing? It was giving value to angle. So what will its inverse function do? Inverse of sine will do exactly opposite of this. So it will give angle to a value. So over here for sine, we used to have angles like sine 30 degrees, sine 45 degree angle, and then we used to have answer. So for inverse, what we will have? We will have the value and the answer will be an angle, right? So we represent inverse of sine by sine inverse x. These inverse functions, sine inverse, cos inverse, tan inverse, cot inverse, they come under the category of arc functions. Arc functions or hyperbolic functions. We call them as arc functions or hyperbolic functions, where these are special categories of functions which are inverse of the trigonometric function. I could have written any term, but to avoid confusion, sine inverse of sine becomes sine inverse. And what we have to remember, this is not equal to 1 upon sine x. 1 upon sine x is reciprocal of the original function, and the sine inverse is opposite in nature to the original function. In what sense? It is giving angle to a value. It is giving angle to a value, and this function gives value to an angle. This is very, very important point which everybody has to remember, that what inverse functions are doing. Inverse function are giving angle what? To a value, right? So what type of questions are usually asked in exam? They are like, suppose I have sine inverse and it is 1 by 2. Let's say sine inverse 1 by 2. So what will sine inverse 1 by 2 do? It will try to give its angle. So what angle? What do we know? When is sine 1 by 2? Yes, exactly at 30 degree. So what will this be? we will be writing it as sine inverse of sine 30 degree, that is pi by 6. So my answer will be pi by 6. These two will get cancelled, not physically but in nature, because they are inverse of each other, right? So then next, similarly, if it is cos inverse 1 by 2, we know cos is 1 by 2 at 60 degrees, so it will be pi by 3. These two will cancel in nature, so answer will be pi by 3. So what do we observe? We have a value and answer we are getting as a angle. So what are inverse function doing? They are assigning angle to a value, right? So now next, let's quickly write up all the restricted domain ranges and then we will move on to the questions. Now what do we know? We know sine x is from minus pi by 2 to 1, minus 1, 1. This is sine x. So what will sine inverse x have? It will be minus 1, 1 to minus pi by 2. Exactly opposite of what sine x used to do. It was from a to b, so inverse will be from b to a. This is what it becomes the range of the inverse function. So similarly, we will have range of all the functions. So I'll just write, we don't have to look for the domain. I'll simply write the range. So for tan inverse, what is the range? This is how you have to learn. Minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 open intervals, because it is not defined at the endpoints. Similarly, for cosec inverse x, it will be closed interval minus pi by 2 to pi by 2, and 0 will be excluded because it is not defined at this particular point. Then for cos inverse x, it is 0 to pi, and cos is related to sec inverse, so it is again 0 to pi minus pi by 2 over here. Then for cot inverse x, it is 0 open interval 0 to pi, again it is not defined at the end point. So these are the points, restricted ranges for inverse functions, that we have to remember and learn. So these three can be grouped together and these three can be grouped together for easy remembering, right? Now what next we have to do? We have to think of the questions that will be asked in exams. So first I have discussed, similarly for tan inverse, if I have, let's say, root 3, tan inverse root 3. Now what we have to do? We have to look for the angle where the value is root 3. Yes, we are right. It is at 60 degrees. So we write it like this. So answer becomes pi by 3. Right. So what we have learned, if we have positive value with inverse function, the angle will always be in first quadrant. Angle will always be in first quadrant. So what you have to relate to? Positive value. So angle in first quadrant. And this is true for all inverse functions. So for all inverse functions, what do we know? If the value is positive, the angle will be in the first quadrant. We only have to think of the angle and we have to quickly write the answer. Now next thing is, if we have negative value, what we will do? So if we have negative value, let's say for sine inverse minus 1 by 2. Now what do we observe the range of sine? It includes the negative angles as well. So what I will do is, the moment the value is negative, I will write the corresponding negative angle. Because we know sine minus theta is minus sine theta, so no problem. Sine inverse sine minus pi by 6 will become minus pi by 6. Similarly, if it is tan inverse minus 1, we know tan includes the negative angles. So it will be tan inverse tan of minus pi by 4 and it will be minus pi by 4, right? Similarly, if it is cosec inverse minus 2, then also this can be written as cosec inverse cosec of minus pi by 6, it will become minus pi by 6. So when we have negative value for sine inverse, tan inverse, cosec inverse, the angle will also be negative. Positive value means all the angles will be positive for all the trigonometric functions, and for negative value with sine inverse, tan inverse, cosec inverse, the angle will also become negative. Now let's see for what happens for cos inverse and all. So if I have cos inverse minus 1 by 2, what will happen? I can write this as, we know negative angles are not there in cos, it is 0 to pi. So we know cos is negative in the second quadrant. So we can write it as cos pi minus pi by 3, right? So it will become 2 pi by 3. So whenever we have negative value with cos inverse, cot inverse and sec inverse, what we will do? We will always write the angle in the second quadrant. And what is the angle in the second quadrant? Pi minus theta, right? Similarly, if it is cot inverse minus 1, we will write it as cot inverse cot of pi minus pi by 4. So it will become 3 pi by 4. Similarly, if we have, let's say, sec inverse of minus 2, we will write it as sec inverse sec of pi minus pi by 3. So it will be 2 pi by 3, right? So whenever we have negative value for cos inverse, cot inverse and sec inverse, the angle will always be in the second quadrant. For sine inverse, tan inverse, cosec inverse, the angle will always be negative. So we can sum up it like this, that if value of inverse function, if it is positive, for all inverse functions, angle will be in the first quadrant. If value is negative, for sine inverse, tan inverse, cosec inverse, angle will be negative. For cos inverse, cot inverse and sec inverse, angle will be in the second quadrant, that is pi minus theta, right?